All right, I think we're live. I think we're ready to go. So, once again, welcome into a new episode. Like I said last week, this is going to be a permanent Tuesday afternoon show. Welcome to another episode of INDYCARPER. I am your resident IndyCar armchair analyst, Casey Racem, aka my real name's Hunter, but you call me Casey, Hunter, whatever you want to call me. I decided it's IndyCarper. We're still a long way to the Long Beach, which I called this episode Long Way to the Beach as a play on words. Still got a good 3 weeks till Long Beach. Still in the still in a little bit of a vacation spot for IndyCar. Got a couple things I want to talk about today, as well as I have a little announcement I want to make during the show. But first things first, I decided to change up the logo or the logo slash thumbnail I'm going to use for IndyCarper. Decided to change it up a little bit. Put a little pictures, put Firehawk, IndyCar logo, my logo, and then a couple pictures I got at Gateway back in 2021. Let me know what y'all think of the updated logo if y'all ever watch this, because I like it. Decided I need a refresh and update from my first logo. But going into this, we got a couple news stories I want to talk about, as well as a little announcement. I kind of want to make this a quick, easy episode this week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Casey Race. Let's go ahead and get started. First story I want to talk about is about the Long Beach Grand Prix. There was a little bit of a story leak right after I ended up wrapping up IndyCarper last week about Long Beach potentially going to a NASCAR race. And then literally next day it was changed. Because the idea was that NASCAR was looking at running Long Beach. Like NASCAR was trying to get the 50% stake in the Long Beach race. Long Beach has been on the IndyCar calendar since 1984, and it's been a staple race for any series since 1975. But that ended up falling through thanks to Mr. Gerald Forsythe, NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One. He tried to gain 50% share of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Kevin K, late Kevin K, didn't meet the desired outcome. Basically, Gerald Forsythe and Kevin K in the 2000s each had a 50% stake in the Long Beach Grand Prix and promotions, things like that. And basically, once Kevin K passed away, there was the idea of NASCAR buying 50% stake and using that to go NASCAR racing. But good old Gerald Forsythe, former owner of Champ Car, he bought out the late Kevin K's 50% stake in Long Beach, and pretty much said, "Look, this is going to be an IndyCar race for more years and years to come," which I love. I was on board with Long Beach becoming a NASCAR race if it didn't affect IndyCar, because Long Beach is my favorite track on the calendar. It's the second longest race on the IndyCar calendar outside of the Indy 500, of course. And I'm really glad that good old Gerald Forsythe, thanks to him, this race is going to be on the calendar for years to come. I need to go out to a race to the Long Beach GP because it's my favorite track on the schedule. I'm gonna dive into more of that later about why it is, and I'm glad good old Gerald Forsythe, former champ car owner, decided, yeah, this is IndyCar's race. Thank you, Mr. Forsythe. Love you for that. Going into the second story that kind of came up, I wanted to talk about is IndyCar and expansion. This is probably a good problem for the series to have because there's been a bunch of talk of different teams wanting to come into the series full time because compared to F1 and NASCAR, it's still expensive, but it's relatively cheap to get in the IndyCar. So, why would you not want to get in the IndyCar if it's relatively cheaper to get into this than any other series? Overall sub cost like 8 to 10 million, which is relatively cheap compared to NASCAR and Formula One. And the main rumor that I want to talk about comes from Racer. All my articles this week are from Racer, so thanks to them. Is Prima Racing, who's a staple in the European circuit, F3, F2. They're planning to launch its American Open Wheel Initiative in 2025, which great for them. I love the new American Initiative team. Their focus is hiring an IndyCar veteran to lead the team and have a second driver to mentor who has come up through pretty much championship ranks. Rumor is they have an engine lease, and they've already met with IndyCar teams to have a possible technical alliance. They have supposedly they have an engine lease with Chevy. So my thing is they probably get a technical alliance with either McLaren, Penske, or one of those other Chevy teams, maybe an ECR. The idea is this may be announced, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put on my tin. This is my conspiracy theory I want to talk about. I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat for this one. I got on Prima Racing's Hall of Fame website looking at the notable alumni. But let's talk about the first point for the focus of hiring an IndyCar veteran. One of the biggest names that's a free agent next year doesn't have a contract, but probably will. He's the biggest name in the free agency market. Is like I said last week, the last year's Indy 500 winner, two-time IndyCar Series champion, Swolsif, A.K.A. Joseph Newgarden. He's a free agent next year. Imagine if this new. I doubt they would do it because I think Newgarden either wants the money or he wants a payday or he wants to go with Team. Or he's going to stay with Team Penske. I think he's more likely going to stay with Team Penske, get a little bit of a pay bump. But imagine if Prima pays him up, gets Joseph Newgarden to be the team mentor. You get Mr. America right there. And looking at the Hall of Fame Prima, they want Prima's Hall of Fame. Prima, I'm going to call him Prima. They want a second driver who came up through Prima's championship winning European ladder. You know who racing Prima in F3? Let's go ahead and look. Right there in the middle. 2020, look at right there in the middle. Logan Sargent. He was with Prima for F3. He very well could be out of Formula One next year because how Williams is treated. I wouldn't be surprised after the whole Australian debacle. Overall, I would not be surprised if Prima got Logan Sargent to come over there. I think he would be great. My tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that I would say is imagine if Prima got Joseph Newgarden and Logan Sargent to be their drivers. You basically have Team America. You have the entire U.S. fan base rooting for you, probably more than likely have the entire U.S. fan base rooting for you. You got Mr. IndyCar, last year's Indy 500 winner, a two-time champion who's been winning at least 3 to 4 races every year, and then you get Logan Sargent, America's first F1 driver since 2015. You're basically getting Team America. That's how you get everyone in the United States pretty much to root for you. I That's just my tinfoil hat conspiracy. I highly doubt that would happen, but it'd be a dream come true for U.S. racing fans and American racing fans. Just imagine if that happened. I'd love to see it. I doubt it's going to happen, but I do think Prima. I'm 90-10% sure, 99% sure we're going to see Prima here in IndyCar here in the next year or two. They already have an engine lease reportedly and looking to get a technical alliance. The other team that was mainly looked about is Able Motorsports. They did have a chassis last year from RC Anderson's dad and the Top Gun Racing team that happened in 2021 for the Indy 500 and also a few other races. I think either Able Motorsports or Prima will be the next team to come. But the only reason I say it's a good problem to have is just there's some circuits that really can't fit 29 to 30 cars on pit road because Prima comes in, that gives you 29 full time teams. And Chevy, they don't have as much engine leases as Honda. And I think Chevy would need to get. I think if any team comes in, they're going to get a Chevy engine before anything else because from what I've seen, Honda is pretty much tapped out on engine unless someone, like hypothetically, let's say Ganassi shuts down one of their 5 teams or another Honda team shuts down a team. That's the only way they could get a Honda engine. So basically, if there's anyone coming and growing the sport, like new teams or new drivers coming in, it's more than likely going to happen from Chevy. That's just how it is right now. And I'm more than open to new teams, especially Prima, Able Motorsports, because Able Motorsports is a stable in the Indy Light Series, and they did run the Indy 500 last year with RC Anderson. They are going to run it this year, at least Indy 500. They might be running more races. Who knows? I'm more than open to expansion. I love expansion. I want to know what y'all think. I love the idea of getting new teams to come into IndyCar. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on that. This is more of a personal story. Look at the long. This is a map I found of the Long Beach racetrack, and I want to go ahead and tell y'all why I absolutely love Long Beach. Long Beach is my favorite track on the schedule. It's been having at least been going on since at least 1979, 75, with the exception of 2020 because of the COVID year and all that stuff. Part of the reason I love it so much is because Forza Motorsport 6, they had the Indy cars on that, and they also had Long Beach on there as well as Forza Motorsport 7. I was able to perfect this track on Forza. One of my favorite tracks to run on Forza, you know. I was able to perfect it. It was running great lap times. One of my favorite tracks to run, and it's one of my favorite tracks on the schedule. And like I've said before, it's typically an Andretti dominant track, you know. Typically an Andretti dominant, or shoot, Long Beach typically an Andretti dominated. Shoot, oh shit. All right, I'm back. Sorry for taking the brief intermission, but yeah, talking about why I love Long Beach. My favorite track on the schedule. Same with perfect on both Forza 6 and Forza 7. And one year, maybe not this year, maybe next year, I'll come out to Long Beach. I've always wanted to go to a race, but speaking of Long Beach, IndyCar, we're still on that hiatus. Next race up, Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 Central. 1:30 Mountain Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time, Sunday, April 21st. It's going to be on USA, not NBC, and it's always streaming on Peacock for sure. Enough of chit chat, but I wanted to make this announcement on this show. This is mainly this show. IndyCarper's not changing, but it's going to be less of a focus for me because now Mondays after the NXT race, I'm going to start Indy Next Live. Because really with the road to Indy and Indy Next series, I feel like there's so much untapped potential there, and there's not a lot of coverage there. So I feel like there's some untapped potential. I feel like you can get more coverage out of the road to Indy and Indy Next series. So that's why I want to start Indy Next Live. I feel like I can get more of a fan base, more of a focus on that, other than this. But I'd love to focus more on Indy Next. I think there's more of a focus there than there is here. Indy Next is going to be my main focus. There's still going to be Indy Carver's not changing. Still going to keep that on Tuesdays, but Mondays I'm going to focus on Indy Next. Do Indy Next live after NXT race, Indy Next race weekends. Indy Next all races are always streaming on Peacock. Speaking of that, Indy next race up is still the Grand Prix to Alabama, Sunday, April 28th, precursor to the IndyCar race. 11:05 Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central, 9:05 Mountain, 8:05 Pacific. Always streaming on Peacock. Indy Next Live. That's gonna, like I said, that's gonna be my main focus. Indy Carper's still gonna have a focus. But I want to put shine more light on Indy Next. I feel like there's not enough coverage, and there's a bunch of untapped potential with that series, and I want to cover that untapped potential. I feel like that's a good spot for me to go. All right, I'm gonna be quick. Let me go ahead and wrap. I'm gonna go wrap this up. Taking. I'm about to go take a nap, but tonight 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central. I got 4 packs of Indy cards. We're gonna do Indy cards live. We're gonna open 2 tonight. Open 2 Thursday. Live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Casey Raysom. And let's go ahead and sign off. Indy Cards live tonight on Twitch. INDYCARPER always going to be on Tuesday afternoon. Indy Next shows Monday after NXT events. Indy Next shows going to be my full focus. And as always, follow me on Twitter/X at HJCarpCARP29. And always be a friend, tell a friend something nice might change your life. As the great Pat Mack says, I'm Casey Rayson, A.K.A. Hunter. I'm signing off. I'll catch y'all next time.